evening, everybody. This is Jennifer, and I want to welcome everyone to the closing session, but only of the first day of our second annual IERAC 2012 conference. And we're very glad that you could join us for this final conference presentation on Friday. I'm Jennifer. I'm the leader of this virtual building community. I'm very proud of this community. And when you're leader of any size community, one of the responsibilities that leaders have, if you want your group to grow, is welcoming new members. And that's why I'm so excited about listening to this session today. I apologize for my phone ringing. Why does it only ring when I'm on voice? Before we begin, I bet you're kind of tired of this. I'm going to give you some background and some guidance. You've probably heard this before today. I do want to recognize our two leaders for this evening, and those would be Lady Slipper Constantine and Carol Spengler. And they are standing at the back of the auditorium up on the top of the ramps. And if you need assistance with anything, you can always hide on them, and they will help you with whatever you need. One of the accessibility features that we have in our auditorium is the greeters. And another accessibility feature we have is that we always present simultaneously, both in text and in voice. And this helps people who are deaf, it helps people who are hearing impaired, it helps other people who have attention problems, and it helps those people whose first language is not English. The text transcription that we provide here at Virtual Learning is not CART code. It's a meaning for meaning, not a word for word transcription. And back with us, again, after having worked hard this morning, is transcriptionist Chad McConnell, who is here from the National Service Inclusion Project. Karen would like us to hold our questions and comments until she is finished, and she has set aside some time for discussion at the end, and I'm sure we will all have some questions for her now. So the topic of this session should be of interest to all of us, even if we're not community members, because we all belong to multiple communities. So what we need to listen for in this presentation are some ways that all of us can welcome newcomers to the many communities that we belong to. Karen Lee is someone I've known a long time in Second Life. She is a consultant specializing in educational media and technology, and she's director of Learning Network at Durham Online. She's also been, and this is where I met her, she's been the lead docent at the International Society for Technology and Education group here at Second Life. So Karen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just want to check that my microphone is working. Can you just give me some feedback, please, if you can hear me? Thank you. And thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be here and to learn with you. It's been a fabulous conference so far, and we're only on the first day. What I'd like to explore with you in this session is the role and the art of welcoming people into communities. Given that the conference theme is all about communities, it seems like a great opportunity to reflect on community growth, development, and health. We sometimes take this for granted, and because a lot of the work in building and maintaining communities is often invisible or behind the scenes, we don't always appreciate what goes onto it. It's also useful to think of community growth as a process of mutual adaptation. Community dynamics are changed by the membership, just as members can be changed by their engagement with communities. So welcoming people into a community is a real opportunity to highlight new connections between individuals. It's also a way for the group to learn more about itself. Communities are constantly renegotiating their identities. So I wonder if we can take just a few minutes together to think about a time when you joined a new community, whether it was in real life or in a virtual world. And please feel free to respond in the chat if you'd like. And I'm just going to ask one or two questions to help you reflect. What helped you feel a part of that community when you were new? And how did you know when you had become a part of the community? In other words, to fill in the blank, I knew I was part of the community when ... Angel says, I knew I was part of the community when they asked me to work with them on projects. And think of all the dynamic that goes into that. You've been noticed, you've been appreciated, and you've been invited. And there's value for both of you and the community in that. Great. So, I'm just going to see a few more that come up. Oh, that's good too. Knowing that you're part of a community, when you can bring in a new member, when you feel comfortable enough about the community to bring someone else. Terrific. These are great responses. So let's take a look at the role of welcoming into our communities. What role does welcoming play in our communities? Well, for one thing, how we welcome new members can reflect the values of our community. Healthy, functioning communities strive to be hospitable and caring and open. How we welcome people should reflect those core values. The welcoming process is also a way of telling our community's story, and it provides initial steps toward creating a shared communal identity. Who we are, what we do, what were recent events and resources, and what is the organizational history. It's a way of introducing community norms, including activities and roles, conduct, expectations, and models of participation in the community. In a distributed or virtual community, this type of orientation also creates another texture of social presence and helps to build a more conscious community. Members have a better understanding of where the community is and how to access it. What are the community tools, and what are the skills needed to successfully use those tools? So it's an opportunity to practice those skills with the community and to gain increased comfort levels. Welcoming someone into a community is a first step toward that induction into the community. Again, it's a two-way street. Just as the individual is being introduced to the community, so too the community is getting to know the individual. And indeed, as we are living more and more in a participatory culture, it's increasingly important that people empower themselves to contribute and learn in their communities. So as we know, just having access or being present is not the same as or engaged. And one thing that we set up in conjunction with this session is a Google Doc where we welcome you to contribute any ideas and favorite resources that you have about welcoming and engaging community members. And I will put the link to that doc into the chat. 1 second. And hopefully that this will be an artifact of the conference as well. Free to contribute, and it would also be kind of interesting to see if, what wasn't a welcoming piece. So feel free to add those to the Google Doc too, and it will be there forever as long as Google keeps it. So it'll be nice to build a collaborative document together. So the slide that I just put up, Nancy White, who's a gifted community facilitator, she was inspired